It's 11 p.m. You're sitting at your kitchen table staring at your laptop screen. Your dog needs emergency surgery. $3,200. You open your checking account. 847. And here's the thing that's breaking your brain right now. You make $120,000 a year. $120,000. You make double what you made 2 years ago. You should be rich. You thought you were rich. But you can't afford this. So what the hell happened? Here's what nobody tells you about climbing the income ladder in America. The problems don't disappear. They just shapeshift. When you're making 45K, you're worried about paying rent and buying groceries. Real, visceral, can I survive this month? Stress. Then you get promoted. 65K, 85K, eventually 120K. And you think, finally, the money stress is over. Except it's not. You're still stressed about money. You're just stressed about different money now. You're not worried about eating ramen anymore. Now you're worried about the fact that you make six figures and a single vet bill can still financially wreck you. Same stress, different tax bracket. Today, we're breaking down what I call the lifestyle ladder, the trap that keeps you broke at every income level, no matter how much you make. And I'm going to show you the exact math of how it works, who profits from it, and how to actually get off the treadmill. Let's go. Let me take you back to the moment you thought you'd made it. You remember the exact moment you got the offer letter. $120,000. You stared at that number and thought, I made it. You did the math in your head. That's $10,000 a month. $10,000? You've been scraping by on 55K for years, doing the mental gymnastics every time you buy groceries. But now? Now you're done stressing about money. You moved to the better apartment because, honestly, you deserved it. $2,400 a month instead of $100. You bought a reliable car because your old one was dying, $680 a month. Your company's health insurance jumped to $350 instead of $80 because you aged out of your parents' plan. You started contributing to your 401k like you're supposed to. There goes another $500. Fast forward 18 months. You're sitting at that kitchen table at 11 p.m. and you realize you still don't have $5,000 in savings. And then one night, your dog needs emergency surgery, $3,200, and you realize you still can't afford it. You're making $120,000 a year and you still panic at a $3,200 bill. The problem didn't go away, it just changed shape. You traded "can I afford groceries" for "why am I still broke?" That's the lifestyle ladder. And millions of Americans are stuck on it right now. Let me show you exactly how this works with a snapshot comparison. Because when you see it side by side, you'll understand why this isn't your fault. Here's you at 55K 2 years ago. Monthly take-home after taxes, $3,400. Rent, $100. That shitty 2014 Honda payment you finally paid off. Your daughter's health. Insurance, $80. No 401k because you couldn't afford it. Groceries, $350. Phone, internet, basics, $200. Student loans, $420. Total fixed costs, $1,250. Money left over, $950 for everything else. Gas, entertainment, emergencies, whatever. Not great. But you had room. When your friend invited you to a concert, you could say yes. When your tire popped, you handled it. You were broke, but you weren't trapped. Now here's you at 120K today. Monthly take-home after taxes, $6,800. Sounds like you're rich, right? Let's see. Rent in the nicer place, $2,400. Car payment on that reliable Honda you needed, $680. Health insurance that jumped when you aged out, $350. 401k you're finally contributing to, $600. Groceries in the nicer neighborhood, $500. Phone, internet, streaming, gym, $250. Same student loans, $420. Total fixed costs, $5,200. Money left over, $1,600. Wait, you more than doubled your income. You went from $3,400 take home to $6,800, but your leftover money only went from $1,250 to $600. That's an extra $350 a month. You doubled your salary and got $350 in breathing room. What the hell? Here's what happened. Your fixed costs went from consuming 63% of your income to consuming 76% of your income. You make twice as much, but the system now takes a bigger percentage of what you earn. Every upgrade you made, the apartment, the car, the insurance, the retirement, they all seemed reasonable in isolation. But together, they scaled faster than your salary did. That's the lifestyle ladder. It's not that you're bad with money, it's that the cost of living at your income level rose faster than your income itself. And this isn't just you. Let me hit you with some numbers that prove this is systemic. A 2024 study by Lending Club and Pimps found that 48% of Americans earning over $100,000 are living paycheck to paycheck. Almost half. Six-figure earners who can't save. But it gets crazier. Goldman Sachs released data showing that 40% of people making between $300,000 and $500,000 say they're living paycheck to paycheck. And another 40% earning over $500,000 say the same thing. Read that again. People making $500,000 a year feel broke. Bankrate surveyed Americans in 2024 and asked, how much money do you need to make annually to feel financially comfortable? The average answer was $186,000. The median American income? Around $60,000. People think they need to make 3 times what they're currently making just to feel okay. Not rich, not buy a yacht money, just comfortable. And only 6% of Americans actually make $186,000 or more. So 94% of the country is chasing a number that feels perpetually out of reach. Here's the other piece of data that should make you angry. The Federal Reserve has been asking Americans since 2012, can you cover a $400 emergency expense right now using cash or savings? In 2024, 37% of people said no. More than 1 in 3 Americans, including people making 6 figures, can't handle a $400 surprise without borrowing money or selling something. You make $120,000 a year and you're 1 flat tire away from credit card debt. That's not a personal failure. That's a systemic design. Now let me show you how this happened historically, but not in the way you're expecting. Forget comparing your life to your parents in 1990. That comparison is tired and honestly, it just makes you feel worse. Instead, let me show you something more relevant. What stability used to cost versus what it costs now, at the same relative income level. In 2000, if you made $60,000 a year, you were doing well. You could afford a median-priced home, which was about $119,600. The price-to-income ratio was roughly 2.1. Your annual housing cost, mortgage, taxes, insurance, would have been around $12,000 or 20% of your income. Your car cost maybe $22,000 and you financed it for 5 years at $400 a month. Healthcare through your employer cost you maybe $150 a month. College for your kid ran about $3,500 a year at a public university. Add it all up, housing, car, healthcare, education. You were spending about 40% of your gross income on these big-ticket items. The other 60%? Bills, groceries, savings, life. Now fast forward to today, 2026, to have that same standard of living, comparable house, comparable car, comparable healthcare, comparable education, you need to make $126,700 a year according to recent housing affordability data. But the median household income is only $67,521. The math doesn't work anymore. And even if you do make $126K, here's the kicker. You're now spending 60% of your gross income on those same big-ticket items. Housing eats 34% instead of 20%. Healthcare takes another 8% instead of 3%. Education costs have tripled as a percentage of income. What used to leave you with 60% of your income for everything else now leaves you with 40%. You're making the equivalent money, but you have less freedom. The finish line moved, and they didn't tell you. So who's responsible for this? Is it the banks, the government, corporate greed? Yes and no. The villain isn't one person or one entity. The villain is what I call the upgrade tax. And it's invisible until you're already paying it. Here's how the upgrade tax works. Every time you climb a rung on the income ladder, the cost of living at that rung isn't proportional to your income increase. It's exponential. You go from making $65K to $95K. That's a 46% raise. But the expected lifestyle at 95K doesn't cost 46% more than the lifestyle at 65K. It costs 70% more. The apartment that's appropriate for your income level. The car that makes sense for someone in your position. The neighborhood with good schools for your kids. The retirement contribution that's responsible for your age. Every single one of these upgrades carries a tax, not a government tax, a social tax, a market tax, this is what people at your level do tax. And here's the genius of it. You volunteered for this. Nobody forced you to move to the $2,000 or $400 apartment. Nobody put a gun to your head and made you buy the $45,000 car. You chose these things. But you chose them in a system that was designed to make those choices feel mandatory. Let me introduce you to the three mechanisms of the upgrade tax. Mechanism 1. Tier pricing. The same product costs more depending on where you buy it. A $4 latte in a working-class neighborhood becomes a $7 latte in a professional neighborhood. The same haircut that costs $25 at the strip mall costs $65 downtown. You're not getting a better latte or a better haircut. You're paying the upgrade tax based on the zip code you move to. Mechanism 2. Expected standards. When you made 55K, you drove a 2014 Honda with 150,000 miles and nobody blinked. Now you make 120K and show up to a client meeting in that same car? People notice. Your boss makes a comment. Your coworker raises an eyebrow. The market signals to you, this car doesn't match your income anymore, so you upgrade. Not because you need a new car, because the social cost of not upgrading got too high. Mechanism 3. Financial product creep. When you made 55K, nobody tried to sell you a 600-month 401k contribution, but now you make 120K. Every financial advisor, every HR benefits meeting, every retirement calculator online tells you, you should be saving 15% for retirement. That's $2,500 a month. If you don't, you're irresponsible. So you do it. And that $2,500? It doesn't feel like savings. It feels like another bill, another chunk of your paycheck that disappears before you can breathe. The upgrade tax isn't charged by one company. It's charged by the entire ecosystem you operate in once you hit a certain income level. And the sick part? You can't opt out without suffering social and professional consequences. But here's where it gets psychological. There's a reason the upgrade tax works so well, and it's because of something researchers call hedonic adaptation. Let me explain this without the academic jargon. Your brain is terrible at staying happy about good things. You move to that $2,400 apartment. For the first month, you wake up every day thinking, holy shit, I made it. This is my place. Month 2, you still feel great. You're proud. Month 3, it's nice. Month 6, it's just your apartment. You don't even notice the granite countertops anymore. The quiet street is just the street. The parking spot is just where you park. Your brain adjusted. The upgrade became your new baseline. But here's the brutal part. Once your brain resets to that new baseline, going back feels like failure. Try to move back to a $100 apartment now. Your brain screams, no, that's a downgrade. That's going backwards. Even though 6 months ago that $1,100 place was fine. It worked. You were happy there. But your brain recalibrated, and now anything less than $2,400 feels like losing. This doesn't just happen with apartments, it cascades. You upgrade the apartment. Now your 2014 Honda looks out of place in the parking lot. Everyone else has newer cars, so you upgrade the car. Now your wardrobe looks shabby compared to your coworkers at your income level. So you upgrade that. Then your vacation. Then your phone. Then your furniture. Every upgrade resets your baseline. Every reset makes the old version feel unacceptable. You're not getting happier, you're just getting more expensive to maintain. And then there's the comparison trap. When you made 55K, you compared yourself to other people making 55K. Your friends, your old coworkers, people in your apartment building. You felt normal. Average. Fine. Then you make 95Ks and something shifts. You stop comparing yourself to your old reference group. You start comparing yourself to people who also make 95K. And suddenly, you're at the bottom of this new group. Your coworker bought a house. You're still renting. Your neighbor's kids are in private school. You're barely covering daycare. Your college friend who also got promoted? He's going to Japan for vacation. You're trying to save $1,000 for an emergency fund. You climbed the ladder and got poorer, not in actual dollars, but in perceived status. Even though you make 40K more than you used to, you feel broker than before. Because you're comparing yourself to people who make 150K, 200K, 300K. Your bank account went up. Your reference group went up faster, and your brain interprets that as falling behind. This is why the lifestyle ladder is so effective as a trap. It exploits how your brain works. Every rung you climb resets what feels normal. Every rung raises who you compare yourself to. Every rung locks you into higher expenses. You're not failing. Your brain is doing exactly what evolution designed it to do: adapt and compete. But the system weaponized that against you. Now here's where the data gets really dark. You remember that old Princeton study from 2010 that said happiness plateaus at $75,000? Everyone quoted that for years. Money doesn't buy happiness after 75Ks. Made people feel better about not being rich, except they went back in 2023 and did a massive reanalysis with new data from researcher Matthew Killingsworth. Turns out it's way more complicated. For the unhappiest 15 to 20% of people, yeah, happiness does plateau around $100,000. More money doesn't help if you're already miserable for other reasons. But for everyone else, for the majority of people, happiness keeps rising with income. And for the happiest 30% of people, it doesn't just rise, it accelerates after $100,000. Some researchers now estimate the real plateau isn't until somewhere between $175,000 and $250,000. Translation: money does keep buying happiness. You just need a hell of a lot more of it than you thought. The goalpost moved. The finish line is now 3 times further away than they told you it was. And here's the final gut punch. Even when you get to those higher numbers, you're still on the ladder. Bank of America released research in 2024 showing that about 20% of households earning over $150,000 dedicate more than 95% of their income to necessities. At 150K, they're living paycheck to paycheck. Why? Because the upgrade tax scales with you. The appropriate house at 150K costs more. The good school district costs more. The responsible retirement contribution is higher. You never escape. You just trade which rung you're stuck on. So what do you actually do about this? Because I'm not here to just make you depressed. I'm here to give you a way out. Here's the reframe that breaks the lifestyle ladder trap. It's called the lifestyle lag strategy. Instead of living at your income level, you live one rung below your income level. Not forever, not as punishment, but strategically to create breathing room. Here's how it works. When you get a raise, you wait 6 months before you upgrade anything. Not your apartment, not your car, not your wardrobe, nothing. Your brain will scream at you. You deserve this, you earned it, and you did. But you wait. Because here's what happens during those 6 months. The gap between what you earn and what you spend? That's not deprivation. That's freedom building in real time. That's the money that doesn't go to the upgrade tax. That's your emergency fund. That's your down payment. That's your ability to say no to a job you hate. Let me give you 3 concrete steps. Step 1. Calculate your real take-home. Open your last paycheck. Look at the actual deposit amount. Multiply by how many paychecks you get per year. That's your real income, not your salary. Now, subtract your fixed expenses, rent, car, insurance, debt, 401k. What's left? That's your freedom money. Most 6-figure earners discover it's under $500 a month. Once you see that number, you stop wondering why you feel broke. Step 2. Build your $10,000 safety net. Not invested. Not in your 401k. $10,000 in cash in a savings account. You don't touch. That's enough to cover most real emergencies without debt. And psychologically, having 10K changes everything. You stop making decisions from panic. You stop taking jobs you hate because you can't afford to quit. Split your next raise, 50% to this fund, 30% to paying down debt, 20% you can spend guilt-free. Step 3. Pick one major expense and keep it one rung down. If you make 100K, choose one category, housing, transportation, or lifestyle spending, and intentionally live like you make 80K in that category. Live in the $1,800 apartment instead of $2,400. Or drive the 25K car instead of 40K. You don't have to do this for everything. That's miserable. But pick one big category and create a 400-600 month gap. That gap is your ladder exit. Look, at some point, you have to decide what matters more, looking successful or actually being free. Because the ladder promises you the first one, but it costs you the second. And you can't buy freedom back once you've traded it for a nicer apartment. The lifestyle ladder isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, to keep you climbing, keep you spending, keep you trapped. But here's what they don't tell you. The only way to win is to stop playing. Real freedom isn't at the top of the ladder. It's in refusing to climb the next rung, protecting your margin, and building a life where an emergency doesn't equal a crisis. That's not giving up. That's taking back control. If this hit different for you, if you've been wondering why you still feel broke even though you made it, do me a favor. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone climbing that ladder thinking the next rung will finally be enough. And if you're someone who makes good money on paper but somehow still can't save, still stress about bills, and you're wondering if you're just terrible with money, you're not. The game changed. Hit subscribe because we're exposing how the system traps you at every income level. We're breaking down the financial traps nobody warns you about. Not the skip your coffee advice, but the real structural stuff that keeps you stuck no matter how much you make. More coming soon.